দীপঙ্কৰ, মোৰ ভইচটো শুনিছানে?
হয় স্যাৰ, শুনিছো, ক্লিয়াৰ স্যাৰ।
ঠিক আছে।
Sir, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Tamaza, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
So, sir, আৰম্ভ কৰো?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. So, I, Sri Dipankar Malakar, welcome you all to this 7 days workshop on SPSS, organized by Moniram Dal School of Management, KK Hendricks Open University. Today is the first day of this FDP. We are very lucky to have two of the best resource person on the area, Professor Joy Borua, who will be taking today's session and some session in later part also, and Dr. Dhaval Mehta from Bir Narmad University, Gujarat. So I welcome all the participants to this workshop. As I already told in WhatsApp group that this will be a complete hands-on FDP, though it is online, but it will be completely hands-on. So I request all the participants to be very active and to participate the FDP thoroughly in all the sessions. And with this, I welcome you all. And to inaugurate the session, to inaugurate the FDP, I request our Vice Chancellor in charge, sir, Professor Nipendra Narayan Sharma, to kindly inaugurate the FDP. Sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Dipankar Malakar. This is indeed a pleasure that KK Hendricks State Open University, the Moniram Dewan School of Management, has organized this 7 days faculty development program on SPSS. In this inaugural session, present two resource persons, Professor Joydeep Borua, Professor Director of Pujya Kumar Bhunya School of Social Sciences, KK Hendricks State Open University, and Dr. Dhaval Mehta from Bir Narmad, South Gujarat University. My esteemed colleagues in Moniram Dewan School of Management, most especially the Program Director, Dr. Govinda Deka, and Course Coordinator, Dr. Dipankar Malakar, and other esteemed colleagues in KK Hendricks State Open University, and dear participants from the field of research and academia. The university has been organizing a number of programs. Recently, another program was organized that was also on data handling, big data radar, based on the National Sample Survey data. Professor Joydeep Borua conducted those sessions. He was the lead faculty. And today we are having one more FDP, and this particular FDP is focused on SPSS. Dr. Dipankar Malakar has stated that this will mainly insist on hands-on experience, and that is very important. It is needless to mention that research requires analysis of data. Basically, data helps us in Processed data helps us in arriving at certain information. Information processing ultimately leads towards development of knowledge, and then ultimately we can transcend towards wisdom. So mere data as such will not be able to satisfy much of our requirement. Data needs to be processed. For that purpose, the data has to be reliable. It has to be collected well. It has to be collected in an ethical manner. Data has to be relevant. Data has to be timely. So the basic characteristics of those aspects will always be there. After assuring all these requirements, when the data is collected, that data needs to be filtered, that data needs to be processed. In our times, it was mostly manual. We made use of the calculator, but in today's context, even from data collection, data generation, processing, all these things, you can make use of the softwares. SPSS is one of those softwares which will help you in processing data. So study of data is must for any researcher, more especially for the quantitative researchers, the use of SPSS. Even for qualitative research also, the data is used, data is processed with the help of softwares. But here in this 7 days FDP, the focus will be mostly on the processing of data, mostly the quantitative data. We are having massive amount of data. You might have yourself collected, generated large amount of data, and the data repositories also, you can have access to large amount of data. Now, what to do with this big data, large amount of data? Ultimately, this data needs to be processed, needs to be presented to satisfy the research objectives, to satisfy the research questions, the research hypothesis. So all these things take place in a concerted manner. Nothing takes place in isolation. To that extent, it has to be simple also, presentable to the best extent possible. It has to be understandable for the users of data, for the users of your research findings, and that requires tremendous amount of skill. Mere handling of data will not help you much. The computer might give you sometimes some wrong information also. We need to strive to have the right kind of information. So we'll have to see the kind of variables that we are using and what kind of tests are suitable for those kind of variables, parametric, non-parametric, those things, right? The basic understanding will be required. Otherwise, if you are going to administer some wrong test, that might give you some results in the machine, but ultimately that will not satisfy the requirements of validity, reliability, relevance, and accurate information. So dear participants, please make use of the learning in this 7 days FDP. Both the faculty members, the two resource persons are highly experienced. Make maximum use of the deliberations, the presentations, side by side. Whenever required, you make use of the open educational resources as well in order to clarify the points, clarify the doubts, and definitely this 7 days FDP on SPSS will give you the exposure to take care of the data that you might have generated or you are planning to generate for your research projects. I wish you all the best, and I hope that you'd be able to make maximum use of these training experiences in these 7 days with all of us. Thank you very much once again. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your nice deliberation. and motivating speech. Now, today's session will be taken by Professor Joydeep Burwa. He is director in Surya Kumar Bhuya School of Social Science of KK Open University, and he is a hardcore researcher. He has enormous experience of using various tools of research, and we are very lucky to have him with us. And I also would like to mention here that we got a huge number of applications, and among those applications, only 100 participants from outside KK and Open universities are allowed to participate. So I request all the participants to be very interactive, very active throughout the sessions. And with this, I request Professor Joydeep Burwa sir to start his session. Sir, over to you.
Thank you very much. I think I'm audible.
Yes, sir. You are audible.
Okay. So, very good afternoon to everyone, and welcome to this FDP, 7-day FDP on SPSS. Ideally, SPSS needs a lab environment, but unfortunately, because of different things, we are not being able to have it on offline mode. But still, we will try to make it as useful as it may be through online mode as well. So today is the beginning, and then in due course, you will be the learning the other aspects of SPSS. So, and I assume that this is a cross-disciplinary group. Some of you have some idea of SPSS, some of you have already done SPSS, but I presume that most of you are, you may be new. So what I will try to do, I will try to begin the whole FDP from the very beginning. That means from the scratch, and then we will try to go along when we proceed further. Exposing different tools and techniques in SPSS. At the same time, SPSS requires two things. One, that you need to have certain clarity regarding the statistical understanding. Without clear statistical understanding, the SPSS is not going to give you a very meaningful kind of analysis. SPSS by itself cannot produce results unless and until you are very clear with what you want to do. And that is why we need to have some sort of statistical understanding as well. So as we go along, we will try to explain some of the things. Of course, it will not be possible to touch on every bit of the issues that might be important for analyzing data, but some of the things which are important, we will try to touch on, and then we will also show you the how it is actually dealt with in SPSS environment. So let us try to share my screen first, and then we will try to see how this is done. So let me okay, can you see the screen?
Yes, sir. It's visible.
Right. So when you open SPSS, then the SPSS will give you a sort of window like this, and it is pretty much similar to the window which is there in Excel, because Excel will also have the combination of rows and columns. For instance, suppose this is the row and this is the column. SPSS will also give you.
Sir.
Yes.
Sir, before that, just I want to confirm from all the participants. I have shared the link you have provided. But whether all of them have downloaded that or not, just if someone is having some problem in downloading,
Yep.
or if you can show the path how to do that.
Okay. When you try to, if you suppose download, if you have SPSS, fine. But if you don't have SPSS, then what you will do, you just let me show you how it is done. Just suppose SPSS free download, then you will get a link for it. Just go for IBM SPSS trial, and then IBM SPSS trial, you try this one, not the modeler. Modeler is something different. Try SPSS statistics for free. So when you open it, then you have to fill up a form. All right. So all the email, first name, and all these things, and then you will get a verification email for creating an account. And once you create the account, then download link will be there, and you can download. So I'm not downloading it because my machine has already been locked for the licensed version, so I'll not be downloading it. But you have to follow this thing, that you go for the SPSS trial version, then download. It will be valid for 30 days. All right, you will get for 30 days, and then you'll, depending on your system, if it is Windows, download the Windows version, or if it is Apple Mac, then download the Apple Mac version. And that is how you will get the free version of SPSS, and then you will be able to do it. And I assume that you have already done that, and then you will be able to run the SPSS on your own. All right. So this is how you can get the SPSS. And once it is downloaded, for instance, then simply you look for the SPSS. I have the license version of 23. Now it is around, I think, 26 or 27. So anyway,
the screen is not shared.
Pardon?
Screen, sir. Screen is not shared, sir.
Screen is not coming?
Yes, sir.
Coming, sir, coming.
I think it is
appeared, but screen is appeared, sir.
So I'm just opening it. All right. And when you open the SPSS, it will be like coming like this. Is it coming now?
Yes, sir, it is visible, sir.
Okay. So when you open, and by the way, you just all the participants, I request you to mute your microphone. For instance, suppose a lot of people have opened their microphone, it is really disturbing. All right. Now, the screen will be something like Excel. It will have rows and columns, but in Excel and SPSS has a difference. Excel is actually a spreadsheet program. So there you don't have the definition of variable. For instance, suppose if I open Excel, then you will see that these are only given as A, B, C, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can put variables here also, column also, and also in the rows. So there is no specific rule to define the variables. But SPSS, if you go for it, then it is actually not a spreadsheet program, it is a database program. So since it is a database program, therefore the column has a specific meaning of variable. For instance, suppose this top of it is written as VAR, VAR, VAR. So that means all the columns will be for the variables, and the rows will be for the records. Records means that one case or one record that will be there. Now, this is the first thing that you have to remember regarding this, the column and variable. Now, next thing, you have to look at the menu. The different menus are there. So some of the things here are very common. That is that first, if you look at suppose the file, then you get all the file options here. It's almost similar. Then data option we will require when we try to manipulate the data. So a lot of data manipulation can be done in data view. And then transform is also important. And then analyze. Now this is the menu where all the statistical operations are there. So if you click analyze, then you will see that a lot of things are there, reports, descriptive. Within that also a lot of things, and the tabulation, the sample tests, t-test and all, generalized linear model, and then mixed model, correlate, regression, log linear, and then factor analysis, non-parametric tests, survival tests, and then multiple response analysis. All these things are placed under the analyze. All right. So this option, the menu, you have to be very clear, and a graph is there. So these are the things that we'll be using: graph, analyze, transform, data, and then of course the file. File is for opening and saving and all these things. All right. So that's about the menu. First thing that you have to remember that this is the variable. The columns are variable. The rows are cases or records. This is the first thing. And this is specific, that you cannot have variables row wise. You have to only have the variables only in the column. And then the menu, different menus are there. All the menus will be at the top. So all the menus you have to remember that where are the things, the data, transform, and then the analyze, and then graph. So these are the main the menu. Then there are others as well, but these are the main menu which we'll try to explore. And then at the bottom of it, you will get two views. One is the data view, and then second one is the variable view. So what are these two views? The data view is only for viewing the data. Here we'll put the data. All the data will be in this view. And in variable view, you will have to define the variables. That all the variables you need to define. So this is the most important part in defining the variables, that unless you define variable properly, you will not be able to get the good results or the valid results. So therefore, when you have any kind of study, suppose you want to do a study, you want to have some surveys or something like that, then you have to first thing that you have to understand that how the survey can be put into the SPSS environment. All right. That is the first point that you need to understand. Ideally, that all the questions, that single questions, will have the variables. Suppose if you ask different questions, these questions will vary from respondent to respondent. So naturally, that will be called as a variable. All right. So therefore, this is the first thing that you have to remember, that in the survey, the questions that we ask will be the variables, and single questionnaire or schedule, whatever you use, that will belong to a particular individual, particular household, or particular entity, and that will form your record. So therefore, all the questions, if you have suppose 6 questions, then you need first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All these variables will be your questions, and then this record will have responses for all the questions, and that will this particular the row will belong to a particular individual or particular the respondent, particular entity, particular household, whatever, that will be the record. So therefore, record means all the information coming from single entity, and the variables are different questions that we put to the particular respondents for response. So this is how usually those variables are defined, and then these are related to the database and then the schedule, the survey. There are some issues. For instance, suppose we allow sometimes that multiple responses. For instance, suppose there is a question, suppose, why are you not going to school? Now, there cannot be a single reason only. There can be more than one reasons, for instance, to that answer. For instance, suppose the teacher is not there, the school is not good, it is more far away from my house. So all three are reasons. So therefore, the single questions can also have multiple responses. We allow sometimes that multiple response. I'll show you how to deal with those multiple responses in a later session when we'll be having. And that can be dealt with as a analyze this multiple responses. You can see that you have to have multiple response analysis also. It is possible that in case suppose your questions are not one value, one answer, it will have some more than one answers. Then obviously you will have multiple responses for the same question. That ideally is dealt with as a multiple response analysis, and that is possible in SPSS. I will show you how to do that, but for the time being, we will skip that complex, complex kind of answers. We will assume that your answers are only one answer, and then how to put that thing in the data view, and then how do we do it analysis. Right, that's how it goes. So therefore, to start with, for instance, let us assume that you have, say, 5 questions, for instance, which you want to put to different entities, different respondents. Say suppose name normally is not used, but it is always a good point to start with. Say let us ask what is your name, then we will ask what is your age, then we will ask suppose that what do you do, that means your employment, and then we will yes, somebody has raised a hand. Who is this? Monisha Goswami. You have any question? Okay, if you don't have any question, then we can take the questions at a later stage. Let me finish these things first, and then we'll take some questions. All right, so we have some questions like what is your name, then what is your age, what do you do, what is your education, and what is the sex, for instance, male, female. So these are the 5 questions that we have, and we need to define these variables first, and then we need to put the data. And once we have the data, then we will see how this data can be used to answer. All right, so that is how it is goes. Now, if you suppose say I have 5 questions, so I will go to the variable view, not the data view. Data view will come second. So first, the variable view. The variables are to be defined, and there are options for defining this variable. I will show you what does it mean. Now, first of all, you need to have a variable name, that you need to identify what is the variable, what variable that is. Suppose, for instance, name. All right, you can put name here. Name is the respondent name. This is one way of putting it. Or suppose if you you put like this, that question number 1. Question number 1, you have 5 questions. So question number 1, question number 2, question number 3, question number 4, question number 5. So these are the questions. Now, mind it that you cannot start the variable. There are some conventions. Cannot start variable name by number. All right, you cannot start variable name by number.
Sir, I have muted all the participants. Please, sir, unmute yourself, sir. Your mic is also muted. Please unmute it. You can.
Okay, so you cannot start the variable name by number. Suppose if I put not Q1 but 1Q. All right, if you try to, let me start again. Let me clear all these variables, and then 1Q will not take. All right, it will say that variable name contain illegal first character. So the first point that you have to remember in SPSS is that you cannot have a number as a variable name starting with, that you have to always have a character. So therefore, not one Q, the question number 1, you have to put Q1. Q1 is actually question number 1. Now, when you put Q1 and also another thing is that you cannot have gaps in between the name, variable name. Suppose Q space 1, it will not take. All right, it will say that illegal character because space is there. So space it will not take. So whenever you try to get these things, two things are extremely important, that it will start from a character and it will not have any space in between the variable name. So it is important because sometimes we put data in Excel or in other formats. So you have to remember that when you define variables in other format, this rule has to be there, otherwise it will not be imported to SPSS. Because unless you create, correct this, that you start with alphabet and then remove the gaps in between, it will not be imported to SPSS. So this is important in that sense. So whatever, I mean, this Q1, Q2, for instance, Q3, Q4, Q5. So you can go like this as well. But when you have large data set, then you will forget that what was Q1, what was the question number 2, what was the Q3, Q4, Q5, like that. It's not possible. To help you, either you give the name here, which is self-identifiable, like name, education kind of thing, or you can use label here. This label is to explain that what this variable is all about. So therefore, I will put that this is the name. Q is, suppose, for instance, this is the sex, the male, female. Then suppose education is there. Then suppose employment. All right. And then say Q5 maybe, say, let us say, suppose a social group. All right, social group. Or we can put age also. All right. So these are the variables. That means that name is, the two things are important. It will always start from character. It will not have in between gaps, space, and you can have identifiable variable name, or you can just simply have question 1, question 2, question 3 kind of thing. But in that case, then you have to use the label so that you can know that what is question 1, question 2, question 3, question 4. So these are the two things I have explained. Next, the type. Type means what kind of data we are expecting. For instance, suppose if it is a name, so obviously it is going to be a text variable. It is going to be character. And that is why you need to change that. This is going to be string. String means character. And then you need to give the how many characters you are expecting in a name. So it might be, the necessary to have large amount of characters. Let us make it 35. All right. So we'll put it here. So string, the Q1 is the name of the respondent. We are expecting characters. Up to 35 characters we can, have. And then just forget about 40 time thing, forget about this missing thing. I will explain later on. Column, by default, it is 8. If you increase the size, then this column size, now it is 8, 8, 8, 8. That means up to 8 characters, it will be visible. But if you want to increase, it will, increase the size of the column. If I put it 20, now it becomes 20. So 20 characters will be visible. Even if there will be 35 characters, it will give you the 25 characters visible. It will be there, but you will not be able to see. When you click here, it will be visible, but it is basically the column width. All right. So it's not a very important thing to have, manipulate this thing. So we can keep it 8 like this. And then the measurement is important. You have got, 3 measurement: nominal, ordinal, and a scale variable, depending on the type. Scale is the actual measurement. Nominal is a category. And ordinal is the ranking. So therefore, when you have to give the measure, because this is important in the sense that all the statistical analysis will be dependent on the measurement. Unless you correctly define the measurement, the statistical analysis will not be able to be performed. Next, sex. Now, what is sex? Sex is, suppose we code them. Male is equal to 1, female is equal to 2. Obviously, it is going to be numeric. And then you can change it to, say, suppose, say only one variable, or decimal you can remove, right? You do not need 8, for instance, only 1 and 2 is there. So 1 will be there. So we'll keep that. But now you will need to have a value. Why need to have a value? Value will be there because when we put 1, it's not 1, it is actually male. And when we put 2, it is not 2, it is going to be actually 2, I mean female. So therefore, you have to tell SPSS that this is not the value which we are putting in, but values will be 1 equal to male, all right, and then 2 equal to female. So when value will be equal? When we put the value which has different meaning, all right. These are codes. So you need to tell SPSS that 1 is not 1, 2 is not 2, 1 is male and 2 is female, and then measurement will be nominal because these are categories, all right. And therefore SPSS will not add these things together. Suppose if you want to add 1 plus 2, it will not add because it is not 1 and 2, it is actually male and female. So that is how it is to be defined. Similarly, education level, also it is going to be, say, we need, for instance, suppose 1 and then 0. You can have your own kind of thing, but let me put it like this, that suppose illiterate, all right, 1 is illiterate, 2 is, for instance, say primary, up to primary, and then 3 is say SSLC, and then 4 higher secondary, and 5 say degree and above. All right. So these are our different literacy educational level. Employment, similarly, employment we can have, suppose different values. Employment, let us have, suppose, say agriculture, engaged in agriculture, or suppose industry. These are some random data I'm just putting in. C is, suppose, say services of different kinds, and 4 is unemployed. 5 is a student, and so on and so forth. So you have different categories. So you can put these categories here. And finally, the age is there. Age is going to be, and these are nominal. This is also nominal. And age is going to be scale variable because we are going to put exact number. So you did not have values because whatever is the age value, it will be the value itself. But only thing that we will not have the decimal, we will have completed age, and so on and so forth. So now, based on our survey, based on our different questions, we have defined different variables, and that is how it is ready now. All right. Once we define all the questions, we have properly defined the variables. Once it is finished, then we'll go to the data view. And once we go to the data view, then you will see that now there instead of VAR, now question 1, question 2, question 3, question 4, question 5 comes, as these are the variables, and we have to put data here. Now let us assume that we have some 10 cases like this, that A, B, C, D, E, F, Z, H, I, J, K, L, suppose 12 cases, and then we will have, next one is suppose sex, so male, female, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we'll have suppose 1, 1, 2, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 2, 1, 1, 1. And then similarly, we will have education. We have up to, how many codes are there? 5 codes are there. So we'll put random codes here. Suppose 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 1. All right. And then question number 4. Question number 4 is we have got 5 codes again. So we'll put 5 codes here. Then again random 2, 3, 1, 1, say 3, 3, 2, 2, 4, 5, 1, 1. And finally the age. Now we will have some age which is already actual age. We will keep the things, and then what we will try to do, that suppose say first 23, all right, then we will have suppose 32, then 12, say 45, 47, 56, 65, 44, 21, say, or say, 15, 34, and 37. So these are the areas. Now, this is what is all about the data. That what we have done, that we have designed a sample survey with 5 questions, and then we have defined the variables based on our survey schedule. And then once we finish the survey, we have the data, and then we will put data here, and that will be in the data view. So this is the difference between the variable view and data view. Variable view only for defining the variables. You look at these variables, and then by looking at the variable, you can have some understanding about the survey or kind of data that you have. And then in the data view, you get to see the actual data. And as I have said, that the codes are here, but if you want to see what are the codes, then you can view here. This is view and then value level. And then when you put the value level, these codes will be shown that it is not male, female, liter, industry, and all these things. So, and then if you do not wish to have this value level, you can just click here, you remove this value level tick, it will just give you the codes. All right. In case, suppose if you get any data, then just go to view and then value level, click value level. You will see that what are the different codes which are there in the database. All right. So this is the thing. So this is one part of the story. First, that we have understood, that what is variable and what is the record. Variables are the columns, fixed positions, and how do we relate to the survey? These are the questions that we put into the schedule or questionnaire. So that's the variable. Now records are the entire data coming from the schedule. So this is, suppose if you have the first record, it is actually schedule number 1. All the answers of questions of that particular schedule are put over the rows, and that is how it makes a case or record. So that is the record. All right. So this is the variable and this is the record. So that's the first one. Second, that you need to understand the 2 views that is there which are there in the SPSS, the data view and the variable view. Variable view is for defining the variables, telling SPSS what kind of data we can expect, and then data view is to store the actual data based on the survey, based on the responses, and that is how it is done. All right. So this is what is all about, and then and then when we have these things ready, and then we can start working with the data. I will just show you some of the commands, and I will use some example files for the further discussions. Now, first thing that you need to understand is that the basic starting of statistics comes with the frequency. All right. Now, what is frequency? Frequency is that how frequently a particular value appears in a distribution, how many times a particular value appears. Now, that serves quite a number of purposes. One, that it summarizes the data. All right, summarizes the data. For instance, suppose if you want to know that how many, suppose male or how many female are there, then the male, how many times 1 is repeated, how many times 2 is repeated, that will tell you the story. So therefore, the basic thing is to understand the frequency. This is the starting point of statistics, and frequency is very useful not only for summarizing the data but also for other purposes. For instance, suppose if you have some illegal codes, if you have some missing cases, all those things will be there. So therefore, how we'll do that, say analyze, this is the starting, I'm just first command I'm telling you, that this analyze, all the statistics are located in analyze, then you go to descriptive, then you go to frequency. All right. So this is analyze, descriptive, frequency. When you click here, then you will see a window like this. Now this is called a command window in SPSS, and based on your variable, it will show you the variables where you can get the list of variables where you can apply the command frequency. And that is why I said that, suppose if you want to have, say, the the analysis, unless you define variables properly, then this list will be misleading, because if you wrongly define, then it will either appear or disappear where it should not have been appeared or disappear. All right, so that is how it is important to define variables very properly. Now, frequency is a general command, so all the 5 variables are here. And then I want to have the frequency of, suppose, sex, for instance. Then you have to click and then place it here. That just telling SPSS that, requesting SPSS to produce frequency for the variable sex. And then I will click OK, and then it will give you the frequency like this. All right, that the male 7, female 5, and then percentage is going to be 58% and 41.7%. And the valid percent, I will explain what is this valid percent. Valid percent is also going to be same. Now, what is the percent and what is the valid percent? Now, percent is the total number of cases. All right, total number of cases. Now, valid percent is the cases where we have the value, right? Where we have the values. Now, we do not have any missing cases. If you look at the top, summary here, the valid 12 and missing is 0. So out of 12, we have all the values. Suppose if you go to the here and then some value is not there. Suppose this value is not there. So then that means that you have out of 12, you have values for 11. All right. So if you run frequency again, then you will see that now it is valid 11. That means out of 12, you have value for 11 and you have missing cases 1. In that case, your percent and valid percent will change. Why? This percent is the divided by 12. That is the whether you have value or not, that will be counted. The total is n is going to be your total value, that is 12. But if you have the valid percent, that means it is divided by 11, the number of cases for which you have the value. And that is the difference between the percent and the valid percent. If you have all the values, both will be similar. But if you have some, the missing cases, then you have different percentages for the percent where the total number will be counted, and valid where the total number of values will be counted. That out of the 12, we have values for 11 cases, so percentage will be counted for 11, not the 12. And that is how it is determined. Now, in some cases, we might be interested to analyze the missing cases as well. There are some studies, we have plenty of studies like that, where the absence of information is also very important. That people tend to not, prefer not to answer certain questions, and then we might be interested that why people are not answering the questions. All right. For instance, suppose domestic violence, drug abuse, the studies which are related to social stigma, then people not, really very comfortable answering those questions, and large number of missing cases can be generated in those surveys, and then we might be interested in knowing that why people are not responding to certain questions, and that is called missing value analysis, and that why the absence, the values are not there. And SPSS has an option for this. This is called the missing value analysis. If you look at it, then you will see that, analyze. If you look at here, analyze, then you have the missing value analysis. That if large number of values are missing, then you need to categorize those missing cases. That's, it may be lack of awareness, it may be because of fear, it may be because that they are not willing to answer. A lot of reasons can come into play for not giving certain answers, and that is why we can have a missing value analysis. All right, and that is useful for some studies, so we can have that at a later stage. Right now we'll not discuss that, but we assume that all the values are there, and then then we will try to see how this is actually done. So I have explained what is the valid cases and what is the missing cases. All right. Now, as I have said, that this frequency is very useful to identify those things, suppose education, and then also we can get employment. So all these things put together, and we can get these things. that educational table, sex table, 58% male, 41% female, education, 25% illiterate, and so on and so forth. Employment wise, that you can get immediately the percentage. Now, only one point to be understood, that when to use percentage and when not to use percentages. If the number of cases are very large, then percentage is very useful. But if you are doing a very small survey, suppose 12 cases, 20 cases, and in that case, percentage will inflate the numbers. So therefore, you have to report both the number and the percentage. So this is the only point that you have to remember, that for large sample, the percentage is always good because it condenses the information. But for small sample, the percentage really inflates. For example, suppose if you study only 10 households and then 5 has certain things and 5 doesn't have certain things, it will be 50-50. So 50%, it tends to inflate the numbers. So for small sample, percentage inflates the number. For large sample, percentage is useful for comparing. So this is the only catch here, but otherwise you can use the frequency command for looking at different frequencies. All right, so that's how the first step. Now, the next point that you need to understand is that suppose if we want to we'll reset it. Reset means we'll remove all these things. Reset, we'll click reset. Suppose if you have frequency for age, all right, so then we'll try to see, and then this is going to be the age distribution. Now, is it useful? It is not useful because there is no repetition. There is no repetition because all the numbers, the 12, 15, 21, 23, 22, 32, these are all frequencies are 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, and that is why it is not a very good idea to have this kind of frequency where frequency is itself is 1. So, and because purpose of frequency is to condense the data, summarize the data. Unless there is a repetition, it is not going to be summarized. All right. So therefore, in that case, what is normally done is that you reclassify the ages. You put them in certain groups. And just one point I would like to stress, that when you go to fill, you can go with a pre-coded kind of the survey. That suppose you have already coded the age, say less than, say suppose 20 to 30, like that. Or you go to the field with the raw data, which will collect the raw data, and then come and then do the reclassification. I will prefer that you take the raw data and then reclassify later on, because you don't know what value will be there. If you go with an assumption that, okay, I will take that, suppose less than 20, 20 to 40, 40 to 60, it might have so happen that you get most of the people falling in one group. And later on, you will not be able to reclassify because you don't get the raw data. So it is always better to have raw data, and based on the situation, based on different situations, you can have series of reclassifications later on. So that's the best way of doing it. You can go for pre-coding also if it is required, but I generally would suggest that you do not really go for pre-coded for income, age, the value which you don't know. It is always better to have the raw data, and then based on our requirement, we can actually reclassify. All right. So in this case, we can reclassify the age, and that is what is called recoding. All right. The next command can be very useful, which is called recoding of the data. Now, how do you recode? That we will try to say, now here it is going for transform. If you look at transform is to change the data. Now, click transform. You have two different record options: record into same variable and record into different variable. Record into same variable, it will record age over age. That means original values will be removed, only the codes will be stored. And this is not a good idea either, because once we lost the original value, again you have to enter your data. So therefore, we do not manipulate the raw value. Raw value will be there, but side by side, we will create a code value where the respective codes will be stored. So here in this case, we will go for record into different variable, and this record into different variable, I will click here, and which variable I will try to record? The age variable. All right, this is the Q5, and then you need to have a variable because we have in the database only 5 variables are there. So you need to have the 6th variable where the codes will be stored. Let us, put like code age underscore age, because you cannot have space. Code underscore age. It is the codified, classified age. This is a level classified age, and then we will try to put the codes. Codes means we have the ranges. So suppose, as I have said, that lowest through 20, all values which are less than 20 will be coded as 1. All right, from say 21 to say 35 will be coded as 2. Then 36 to 60 will be coded as suppose 3, and then 60 above will be coded as 4. So we make 4 groups, for instance, and then we'll click OK, and then we'll change. Now this is a question mark here. Q5 will be coded to what? Coded to code age. I'll give the command that based on my this thing, all right, definition, that this is how it is to be coded. Just change. Now change. Now Q5 is gone to code age. All the codes, respective codes, will be stored in code age. Now click OK, and then if you go to the data, and then you will have this new value based on the the data. Q5, this is actually 23. So 23 code is 2 because it is 21 to 35. So all the respective codes are here. Now these are since codes here. So therefore you need to go to variable view, and then you need to remove it, and then you have to give the values. What was 1? 1 was actually up to 20. All right. Then 2, 21 to 35. 3, 36 to 60, and 4 more than 60. All right. Now you have the values here. All right. You have the values here. Now, if you try to, run not the frequency on the age, but on the codified classified age, then you get a better frequency like this. All right. So now up to 20, it is 60%. 21 to 35, it is 33%. 36 to 60, 41%, and more than 68%. So that is how, when you have raw data, and suppose if you want to have another classification, it is also possible. Simply you give say new code age variable and store those variables. So therefore, when you have raw data, you are better off in a sense that you can actually recode all those data time and again, and based on your situation. So that is why I said that it is always better to have raw data and later on try to codify. All right. So this is how it is done. That this is not summarizing, but this makes more sense that you have the age data. All right. So what we have done, so we have introduced the frequency command, and then we have seen that how frequency can be useful and when frequency is not useful. When it is not useful, when the frequencies are not repeated, it is actually 1111 kind of thing. It is not adequately summarizing. Then next step is to recode it. So recode command I have introduced, and then once we recode, it becomes more useful in the sense of the frequency. All right. So now next point, is that sometimes we need to have the say the statistics. For instance, suppose mean, median, mode, and all those things are required. And then somebody has already asked me a question I have seen. Measure, regarding the measure. So when you want to have the mean, median, mode kind of thing, we expect that these variables are scale variables. Scale variable means that these are actually measurable, all right, which you have the measurable. If it is not measurable, then there is no point of having mean. Now, how do you get it? Suppose if you want to have, suppose what are the variables? Variables are this. The age variable. Age variable is a scale variable where we have the raw data. Rest of the variables are nominal. These are categories. These are categories. So therefore, if you want to have some calculations of mean, median, mode kind of thing, then which variable you will prefer? That we will try to have some results for variable age. That is what we require. So how do you get it? You can get it here by two ways. There are two methods of doing it. One, you have the frequency, all right? We reset it, and then age is this thing, age, and then you can request you remove this frequency table. We do not need the frequency table for age, all right? Age will be the 1111 kind of thing. So we do not need the frequency table, but we need the statistics. Now here you can request the mean, median, mode, sum, the standard deviation, variance, all you can have here in all the quartiles also, all right? So we'll put OK, and then you get the results like this, all right? So this is how it is done. So therefore, the valid cases, the 12, out of this 12, you get a mean of say 35. Standard error of mean is 4.7. Median is this, and then the mode is 12. Standard deviation, variance, skewness, all these measures will come if you request that. All right. So therefore, but now you need to understand what is these all values are. Suppose standard error mean, you need to understand 4.7, what does it mean? So that is a pure statistics. I'm not going to discuss that part, but I just show you that how you can get those values. So you just go to the frequency, request this thing, remove the table, and then request the statistics here, and then you click whatever is required, and then continue, and then click OK. It will produce the results. There is yet another way of doing it. That is the going to not the frequency but by the descriptive. If you go to the descriptive, all right, then you request age and then option. Here also you can get the results, curtosis, range, these things, variance, range, and all. So if you click here, then also you will get the same results. All right, so there either you go to the frequency and go to the statistics and then request the result, or you go to the descriptive and then request those options, what are the things which are required, and you will get those results. All right, so this is how you can get the measures of central tendency and also the measures of dispersion. Get my point? So these are the two things which are available in SPSS. So what are the things that we have discussed? The first, the frequency. Second, the recoding, the classification. Third is the mean, median, mode kind of thing, the measures of central tendency and measures of dispersion. There are two ways, one from the frequency and other from the descriptive. Now here, I think Dr. Mehta will be also discussing about all these things. So here you need to understand, and here the statistics becomes important, that you need to understand that these results, for instance, are important. Results for this are important for certain assumptions. For instance, suppose mean can be biased by many factors. One is that if you have outliers, outliers means that either very large value or small value. All right, and also the normality. Normality means the mean is a parametric statistic, that unless it is normal means that extremes are rare and then average is common, and that is the normal thing that will happen. So if you have normality, or if you do not have outliers, then only mean is meaningful. Otherwise, if you have outliers, large number, dominating the other values, or very small number which is dominating the other values, then your the whole idea can be very misleading. The mean can be very misleading. So you need to understand those assumptions also. If you want to have those values, the mean, if we want to apply, then whether mean can be reliable or not, those are important things. To check those assumptions, SPSS has a procedure by which it is done, and that procedure is called explore procedure. All right, descriptive, explore, frequency, descriptive, and explore. Now this explore procedure is probably, it is also going to be explained by Mehta, but I'm just showing you that suppose dependent, it is age. All right, age is the value that we want to explore. We want to see whether you have full large value or small value, and then we will try to see the outliers. You can request outliers, and then try to see, say, normality plot and all, normality plot with this. This part will be again taken by Dr. Mehta. So I'm just showing you the explore. Explore is used for testing the assumptions of normality and also the outliers, presence of outliers. So what we have done, we have requested whether there is any outlier or not, and then we will see the normality tests, and then we will put OK, and then it will produce some of the things. It will show you the highest values and the lowest values. All right, and then it will also show the normal plot. It's more or less normal. It will be explained by Mehta, so I'm not repeating it. And this value, this is called box plot. If you have outliers, it will be marked here. This is the line of outlier, and this is the line of outlier. If you have values above this or below this, then you have a problem. So for us, it is not there. So there is no outlier as such. And I mean, this is how it is to be done. Now, when we have the real data, that will be more clear. But for the time being, I'm just showing that explore command can be used for checking the normality and the outliers. And once we have the problem of outlier, we have to treat it, or there are different ways of treating the outliers. Otherwise, if you don't have outlier, then you can rely on the mean. So our mean was 35.92. So we can take it as it is, because we do not have a problem, large problem of normality as well as of the outliers. So immediately the mean is not taken. Immediately measures of central tendency is not taken. A measure of the dispersion is also not taken. We have to check for necessary assumptions. Once it is fulfilled, then only these things are taken. So there are ways of testing those things, and one important way is to test is using the explore command. So the frequency, record, then we have gone for the descriptive and also the explore. Now, next thing that we try to introduce is the frequency. Is a single variable command. Single variable means only one variable is given in one table. So we need to have, if you want to have a study, then what we study? We study different relations, kind of relations that might exist across the variables, that how different variables are related. So for that, you have to put these variables together in a table. So it is not going to be always a single variable table, but it is going to be more than one variable table, which we call cross tabulation. Cross tabulation means putting different variables together in single table. So cross tabulation is very important. And if you can do a good cross tabulation with proper tests, the most of the things are taken care of. I mean, the large part of your study is taken care of. Now, since we have only 5 variables, and we have seen that, okay, say suppose, and then we have got the classified age also. So what we can do, suppose age-wise education level, or age-wise employment, or sex-wise employment. Suppose if we want to have, suppose sex-wise employment, all right, we want to see that whether there is any, pattern or systemic relations between sexes and the employment. So employment is one variable, sex is another variable. How do we do it? How do we put these things together? So there you have to go for cross tabulation. All right. So if you try to put this cross tab, then it will ask that which value is in row and which value is in column. So let us put, suppose, sex-wise employment. All right. You can other way also. You have to put in some variable in row and some variable in column, depending on the layout that you have in mind, and then just put OK. Then you will see that okay, this is what is the table. All right. That male, female, and then agriculture, industry, services, unemployed, student, and so on. So since the number of cases is very small, so this will be like this only. But the point is that you can have this kind of table that you can put together the different variables, and then you can get the values. All right. Now, up to this, what we have done for the frequency, the code, descriptive. Then we have also gone for the explore and also gone for cross tabulation. Now, if you want to see how this is done, really, how it is, how arguments are built, then you have to have some data in it. All right. So SPSS has a lot of sample data. So I will try to use some sample data so that you can get a sense that how these commands can be used. So I will just open those things. These are located in the installer folder. Installer folder means, suppose if I look at my folder, say C drive, program file, IBM SPSS statistics 23 version, and then sample file. Then you get a lot of sample data. You can see the lot of sample data. All right. So I will use a particular sample, survey sample. This is a survey data, sample survey data, and then I will open it. Now you see, this is the data, and this is the data. This is how the SPSS data will look like when you open it. All right, all the variables are there. Descriptions are also given. Values are defined. All these things, scales are also given. And then if you look at the data, this is a large data. You get some, how many variables? You have some 46 variables, and then also number of cases is also quite large, right? Some 2,832 cases are there. So it's around 3,000 data with 46 variables. So it's a good data set to explore. Now, what we will try to do, we will try to use some cross tabulation here. For instance, suppose let us see what are the things which are there. So say you can have an understanding of what are there. So we have a sex, that is gender, male, female variable, race of this thing. This is an American data. So like social category in India, SC, ST, the black, white, and other groups are important for racial differences in United States. So that is there. And then we have some other, this idea that is happiness. This is some question that whether you are happy, very happy, pretty happy, not too happy kind of thing. And this is idea. And don't know, not answered. These are missing cases. These are missing cases. The 0, 8, 9. These are missing cases already defined. So these are 0, 8, and 9. So these are the missing cases. So let me use this happy as a variable of our study. Suppose who are the happy and what are the factors determining this happiness we want to study. And this is the variable in concern. Suppose happiness I want to study. All right, and we are using SPSS sample data. first of all, to begin with, right? We begin with what we'll do. We will try to get a sense that how many people are happy and so on and so forth. So therefore, we will try to go for, say, general happiness. This is the variable. And then general happiness, this is ordinal data. All right, this is ordinal data. Okay. So this is very happy, 31%, pretty happy, this is 55%, and not happy, 12%. So we get three categories of people: the happy, average happy, that is pretty happy, that is 55%, and not happy, 12%. And missing cases, we have three categories of missing cases: don't know, not applicable, etc. So which is negligible, it's not that much. So 26 out of 2,800. So it's okay. You can forget that part, and you can concentrate only on this part, that is very happy, pretty happy, not too happy. You can ignore these missing cases, and concentrate only on this. And as I have said, that here, if you look at it, that 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, these are the variables that these are the values we should concentrate, not 0, 8, and 9. All right, these are missing cases. So how do you take only those variables? General happiness, not 0, 8, and 9. We want only 1, 2, and 3. All right, so we do not need those missing 26, but only the valid cases. All right, so therefore, if we try to say, suppose, select only those cases where we have the non-missing cases, 1, 2, 3, then you can have data. All right, then select. Right, this is the select cases, data, select cases. If condition, if general happiness, this is the variable, general happiness is equal to 1 or 2 or 3. All right, that means that if it is 1, 2, or 3, then only it will be taken for analysis. If it is not 1, 2, 3, but 0, 8, 9, it will not be taken for analysis. So we can actually take particular set of data which is of relevance for our analysis, and then do the analysis. So I will just select, and that is done by select cases, which is located in data menu, data, select cases. If by default everything is selected, so but we do not need everything, we need only when happiness is 1, 2, 3. So if you look at the data, and then you will see that something will be marked as cut here. All right, this is not selected. All right, this is not selected. This 26 cases will not be selected. These are not selected. Rest of the things will be selected. All right, so now if you give the command like this, general, now here you will not get those values. You will get only very happy, pretty happy, and not too happy, but not the other cases, right? So we remove those 26 cases, missing cases. We remove those cases. We drop. That is called sample drop. We drop those cases because this is of no use, and then we have only this value. So our total case becomes 2806, and 2806 we want to study. All right. So we have selected what we need. Now we want to see that whether there is any pattern of happiness regarding, suppose, say, race. All right, black, white, and others. So whether there is any systemic relations. Then how do we do it? We will try to see that cross tab. All right, cross tab, the race. wise, race wise, and then happiness, general happiness. All right, and then we will try to use this here. Then you will see this is the value. This is the distribution. Races: white, black, other, very happy, pretty happy, and not too happy. And this is the distribution. Now, from this table, immediately it is not very clear because we are having the numbers. Now, when you have cross table, then you can have the numbers, and these numbers are can be interpreted in many ways, at least 3 ways, clearly 3 ways. One, that you get 3 totals. For instance, suppose you have totals here, you have totals here, and also the grand total, that is 2806. Now, if you want to see the systemic bias regarding the row variable or column variable, then you need to find out different percentages. Different percentages means that either you have the row percentage, that means row total will be taken, or the column percentage, that is the column total will be taken, or the total percentage, that is the table total will be taken. All right. Suppose who are these very happy? Who are these very happy? All right. So, and then what is the total number of white and how these whites are distributed across different categories? Who are the black and blacks are distributed across the category? And who are the others which are distributed across the category? Then your position is that you take these groups total and then try to see how these are distributed. So depending on that, you get row total, column total, and table total. You have to have a different percentages. For instance, suppose let us try to see, say, row total. Row total means the very happy, the pretty happy, and the not too happy. That is, these are the total 891, 1575, 340. So then we will try to go for cross step and then cell and then row percentage. Then we will have, this is the percentage. All right, because this is 100, 100, 100. So this is the total. So clearly this is the total. So now we can see that who are pretty happy, the 79% white, 14% black, and other 6%. So that is not a very good idea to see because this overall percentages of white, black are also different, and that is why if you have more whites, obviously every category will capture the more whites. So this is not a very good idea to see whether there is any systemic relation. Systemic relation will come that out of white, how these are distributed. So therefore, not the row total is important, but the column total is important. So let us try to see the column total, not the row total. So we will go to cell, not the row total, column total is important. And then we will try to see, this is the thing, do you have any systemic differences across this thing? That out of white, pretty happy, 56%. Out of black, pretty happy, 57%. Out of other, pretty happy, the 53%. So therefore, with regard to pretty happy, there is hardly any difference across different categories. That all the black, white, and other categories are having almost same proportion of people falling into the category of pretty happy. So therefore, it is not appearing from the table that actually there is any systematic bias regarding the happiness across different racial affiliations. And then you can test it for it as well. Suppose if you want to test it, say suppose simple chi-square, I think Meta will be following it up again. So I'm just putting these things here. Then we will put statistics and then request chi-square to produce, and then we will see whether there is any chi-square relation. So the chi-square value is significant. It's coming as significant. The 48 for degree of freedom 4. So this is the significant at two-sided, that is 0, 0, 0. So it is suggesting that actually this minor differences, even if it is the showing that these values are not racially differences, but the chi-square becomes significant. So that means that that this the relation between the racial affiliation and then general happiness has a very strong relation, and that is why it is coming as significant. That means whatever we are getting in a sample can be extended to the population also. So therefore, you can have a cross table and also the related test for the cross table, the independence of categories by requesting chi-square, and that is how it is to be done. So therefore, the idea is that if you are clear with the variables, that how this is to be accommodated within the table, you have the layout, and then you have the idea that how it is to be done, and commands are there that you just put the columns variable and row variables in cross step, and then it will produce the cross step, and then subsequently you can also go for different kinds of tests, starting with chi-square, and then also you can go for other kinds of tests as well. All right, so that's how it goes. Now the last part, I mean, for today's discussion, then we will take the questions. The last thing that we need to understand, that if you want to have more than one variable, for instance, then what is the option? Suppose we want to split this value further by, say, male female, not only race but white. Within white, how many male and how many female? Within black, how many female, how many male, like that. Then what is the option? The option is that in the cross tabulation, there is an option called layers. All right, there is an option called layers. All right, now I'll just remove this column percentage because table will be large otherwise. So you can put this gender, sex as a layer variable, but layer is not going to split the columns. Layer is always horizontal, right? It's not vertical. It is always horizontal. One layer, then top of that another layer. It is always horizontal. So therefore, if you put the gender third variable in the layer, you will get this kind of things. All right, that this is a white, black, and other, but these are split into male, female, and total. So male, pretty happy, white, this one. Female, pretty, very happy, white, this one, like that. So this is not splitting the white as such, column as such, but there is an option which is actually splitting the horizontally, the rows, categories, the male, female. All right. So this is, this is how it can be done. Now, for tabulation, therefore, the cross tabulation with more than two variables may not be a very good idea, because it does not have the flexibility of putting the variables across rows and columns. In that case, we can use the go for custom table. The custom table means the table according to your requirement. This custom table, you can go, and then you have to put these things here. For instance, suppose the race of the respondent was in the column, in the table, and then general happiness was in the rows, and this was the table that we had in the cross tabulation, and then we had to have the totals also. So this is, you can have row, you can click row variable and then categories and total, and then request total. All right, apply, and then race, then again you can have total, apply. So this was the table that we used to get in the cross tabulation, same table, cross tabulation. But the point is that in here you can use the third variable, that is the male female, this one, in here also. If you put it here, it will split the columns. All right, it will split the column. Now you see the black male female, white male female, other male female. Or if you want to put it here, that is also possible. So therefore, custom table, you just remove gender and put it here. It will put a split table like this. So therefore, when you have more than two variables, usually we do not go for this cross tabulation. Rather, we go for the custom table. You can go on adding the variables across rows and columns and see how these variables are split. And the beauty of the analysis lies in disaggregated analysis. More you disaggregate, more insights you will gather. And then more insights you will gather, more, nicely you can, understand the data and then find out something which is otherwise not clearly visible. So this is, in a sense, give you that how you can go about with the SPSS to start with. This is a first session. So therefore, we have introduced certain things, that we have introduced the SPSS working environment. We have already shown you that how to locate the SPSS sample data to practice different kinds of things. And it is always located in the installer folder, the folder that where you have installed the SPSS, for example, and that, there you look for different kinds of data. I have used the survey sample data. You can also use survey sample data. This is a good data to start with. And I have shown you how to go for the frequency, how to record the data, and then how to cross tabulate, how to make the custom table, how to get the descriptive statistics, how to explore the data. Because suppose if we here in the sample data, there are certain variables. What are the variables? For instance, suppose age variable should be there. Let me, this is age variables. All right, this is the age variable. All right. And then I will select all variables, full data set. I'll remove the condition, full data set, and then I will try to get the mean median mode of age data, age of the respondent, and I will try to get the mean median, mean standard deviation, variance, range, kurtosis, skewness, all these things I need. So I request these things. Now what is the mean? Mean is 45.56. Now the question that was asked, that whether 45.56 mean is representative, good enough to tell you the average age of the respondent. All right, to answer that, I said that you need to explore the data, age data, for two things. One, you have to see whether there is a deviation from normality and whether there are some extreme values. If you have extreme values, the value will be biased. And for that, I already discussed that you need to go for the explore. Here we'll put explore, and then we will try to we'll go for plot, normality plot. All right, and then we will just put it like this, and here you will see now there is a deviation of normality. The age of the respondents, it's already it's here also there is no value which are marked above or below, so it's okay. So we do not have the extreme values here. So if you have extreme values, then you will get these values marked. Let us try to see how it works. Suppose you go to age value, this age value, you change some value. Suppose for the first value, I will change it to, suppose, say 98. All right, instead of 60, I will have the 98. All right, then I will just again run the explore command and then see whether it is there or not. It is not there. So if it is a very large value, suppose 120, then then this value will be marked here. This is the first case number 1. This is the 120. So this is marked above this thing. So that 120 is an outlier from this. That is why this diagram is important to find out that what are the values which are very large and what are the values which are very small. And if you have a distribution having outliers like large value or a very small value, then your mean is going to be biased. Then you have to treat those things, or there are different ways of treating. Censoring is there, capping is there, changing the scale is there. So all those things are there. So we need to understand how it can be done. So basically the idea is that even if you try to go for the mean, for instance, there also you need to see how whether the assumptions are fulfilled or not. I think these assumptions will be sort of discussed by Mehta. So I'm just introducing it so that it can be followed. All right. So this is how it is to be done, and this is how it is to be understood. So let me stop here, and then probably we can now go for some questions and answers. We have some half an hour time, so we can go for some questions and answers. Let me check the stop here, and then we will try to see.
Sir, already there is some question in the chat box.
Yes. Okay, about the type of measure. So type of measure, you have three. In SPSS we have three measures. One is the nominal measures. These are just categories. All right, these are just categories. We are nominating certain categories with values. For instance, suppose male equal to 1, female equal to 2, like that. All right, or illiterate equal to 1, primary equal to 2, higher secondary equal to 3, and so on. So we are putting numbers to represent different categories. So that is the nominal. Ordinal, you can order, but it cannot be measured properly. All right, you can order, you can rank them good, bad, or average, very happy, pretty happy kind of thing, but actually it is not measurable. But most probably you can actually rank those things. So that is ordinal. And then scale is something which is measurable. For instance, income, age, which is, we have a scale for it and we can measure. All right, so that is how it is to be done, and that is the that will be the response. All right, no, can we have a break for a minute? So that's so is the education an ordinal variable? No, it is a nominal variable. You can treat it as a ordinal variable if you put that in that order. Suppose you have increasing order and denoting that higher level of education. In that case, it can be treated as ordinal, but mostly we treat it as nominal categories. If multiple mode exists, then what to do? Multiple mode means that value will be the largest value, but that value will be having different entities. In that case, the value will remain same. Multiple mode means you cannot have two maximum values. Maximum value will be 1. Only thing is that maximum value will be repeated for different entities. So far the mode is concerned, that is not a single. Multiple mode means value remains same, but that value is available for different entities. So that is the multiple mode. So far the mode is concerned, there is not an issue. But if you have more than 2 or more than 3 entities, then entities you have to find out what are those entities. From Excel sheet to SPSS, this is simple. If you have any Excel data, you just transfer it. I'll just show you how to do it. Let me share the screen. All right. Okay. Suppose take me here, this data, I'll put it in Excel, suppose. This is the data, and then I have the variable also here, name. Suppose this is sex, this is education, this is employment, and this is age, and this is 4 days. All right, and then I'll save it here. Save as desktop trial. All right, and then I will open it, locate it, find out the Excel data, trial, open, sheet 1, yes, okay, this is the data, it will come. All right. All right, this is the data. So just open, select the Excel file, it will automatically open. All right, so that's it. Then multiple mode is done. Okay. If you have a multiple mode done, Excel data transfer. A detailed primary study on scaling of data is desirable. Okay, that can be discussed at some point of time. Now, in this session, it is not possible. A recording of the class, I think Dipankar can tell whether the recording.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. These are all recordings will be available, sir.
Okay. Then multiple, and then what to do? No, multiple mode exists. What to do? You have nothing to do. The multiple mode means mode value remains same. Only the number of values having the same value will be different. That is what. Layer. Okay. Layer means that if you have, okay, I will explain that, a little bit. Can I do the same in SPSS 11 version? 11 version, I think so. But some of the things will not be there. If you have 20 plus, it will be better, because 11 is very old, and then there are some issues with there. But whatever we are discussing, you will be able to do. But if you want to have something more, then 11 is really, really old version. It will be better if you have 20 plus. Sample data, okay, that will do. Too fast. Okay, you go to the recording and then repeat it. How to treat the outliers. Okay, treating outliers is a different thing that we will do when I will come back again. If you have, there are different ways of doing it. You can treat it by changing the scale, censoring it, capping it. There are different ways of doing it. So that we will discuss. But till now, whatever we have discussed, you can practice. So we have to show again a couple of things. One is the layer, and then finding the sample file. Okay.
And also, sir, transferring data from Excel to.
No, that I have already shown.
Yes, sir. But I think Bidhan Bora has not got it. That's why he has written too fast.
Achha, okay. So what we will do, I will just stop everything and then I will start again. All right. So I'll just stop everything. Okay, now it is clear. So this is the trial data, Excel data I have created. This is the data. And then I have put it in the desktop. So I will put in clear, open SPSS. The SPSS will open. All right. Then you click open. This is file open. And then you locate the Excel file. Desktop. Now Excel file will not be shown. Why? Because the file type by default is SAV. SAV is a SPSS data. So you have to change it. You just go to Excel. This is Excel. Moment you click Excel file, then trial Excel, which is our sample data, will be shown, and then we will just open it. Then it will ask that which sheet, because Excel will have different sheets. So which sheet you have the data. So variable name from the first row, yes, it will be from the first row, and then sheet is the first sheet. All right, and then OK, and it will get the data, and you will get the data. All right. So this is the data that we have in the Excel. So automatically it will transfer. You have to remember that there should not be any merge cell in Excel file. There, naming convention should be proper. All right, you should not have a different name other than SPSS convention. And then you should not have merge data. You should not have blank cells. If you have blank cells and all, then it will be difficult to import. You follow the rules that you fix the columns for the variables. Row will be the record. Give the proper name. There should not be any blank cell. If that is how it is stored in Excel, it will be very easy to open the Excel file in SPSS. Now, next question was how to locate the sample file. Now, when you install SPSS, it will be installed in some drive, either in the C drive or in the D drive, normally in the program files. All right. So you just go to the installer folder. For instance, in my computer, I have installed every program in the C drive and in the program file. All right. So therefore, when I will look for the SPSS sample file, open, and then I will go for the C drive. We locate the C drive, this PC, the C drive. All right. C drive, the program folder, program file. This is the program file. Now SPSS creates a folder called IBM. Now this is the IBM folder. This is SPSS. Now statistics, version 23, then sample file, English, then you have the sample file. And I use the sample file, which is called the survey sample. All right, survey sample, and this is how it is open. So this was the open. All right. So you go to the directory where the program files are there. In the program files, you have the IBM, where the SPSS, IBM is the SPSS producer. So IBM folder, go to SPSS, version selection, then you get the sample file, and then you have the English, and then you have the sample file. So this is the part. Next, somebody asked that what is the idea of layer. Now layer is always like horizontal. Layer is always horizontal. It's not vertical. That the first layer, and then second layer, then third layer. So therefore, when you try to do the cross tab, for instance, then in the cross tab you have two variables, row and column. Now row and column, suppose if I put it like this, say gender and suppose race, then you get like this. All right, race and then gender. Now if you want to have a third variable, then this third variable is male and female. So male will be divided into and female will be divided into. That means the row variable will be split into different categories. Then it is called layering. So this is how it is done. Suppose cross tab, you put third variable in the layer option. Third variable, say, so I was putting the general happiness or general happiness. Let me put it here. And then put gender in the layer, So idea was that this general happiness, all right, the very happy, pretty happy, not too happy, it was divided into male and female. So therefore, this data, this row is split into the male and female. Get my point? So this very happy, earlier it was 318 and 3 plus 433. So it was the total. If you remove the layer, then it was 751. What is 751? Well, 751 includes some male and some female. So therefore, it is very happy. It is horizontal. It will be split into 751 will be split into part to male and part to female. And that was the 318 and 430. So 318 plus 430 is actually 751. So that is why it is actually split. So that is the idea of layer. If you go on increasing the layer, so it will be splitting the row variables for different categories. So that is the idea of the layer. All right. I think some more questions have come, I think. Okay, more outliers. I have already explained that how you can have more than one outliers. In fact, we get more than one outliers. So you have to treat all the outliers together. So that we will show if we have some time in between, and we will show how to deal with outliers. And the second thing, very frankly, in 7 days we will not be able to deal the nuance analysis of SPSS. Mostly, what we will do the basic and general analysis. But if you want to really learn very nuanced analysis, then you need to have a larger duration course. So in 7 days, we will try maximum whatever we can do, and that too within two hours. So we will try to do. But the idea is that I have not introduced the command compute. So compute command we will do, and then when we use compute, then we will see how it is to be done. All right. If missing data is there, then also can we have a valid person? Yes, you have a valid person. You have a valid person because the missing data will exclude the missing data, and that is why it is called valid person. That means the total value will not be the total number of cases. The total will be the number of cases for which we have valid cases, values. All right. So it will exclude the missing cases, and then only we will get the valid percentage. Feedback attendance, I think Dipankar can tell. And then rest of the things. Acquire license version, you have to buy. And the cost is very heavy. So individually, I do not prescribe this thing, because the base SPSS comes in base module and then extra modules. All right, 14-15 modules are there. So base module cost around 4 lakh, and extra modules are coming in different prices. So if you want to have a full version, I think now the student cost will be around 10 lakh. So it's not possible. So it is always prescribed for this thing that you go for the institutional buying and then get the licenses. Okay, I think simple assignment may be given. Okay, we will try to give a simple assignment. Okay, I think there are no more questions probably. The rest of the things are thank you kind of thing. So
Yes, sir. So some Misa has put one question: how to get complete course on SPSS so that we can do analysis.
Complete course means what? How much? What
Yes.
kind of complete?
Just we can give the information, sir. We are planning to have from KKHSU. We are planning to have a course covering the whole SPSS. In fact, SAR is planning that. That will be, I think, 3-month course.
Yeah, that will be. I'm thinking of doing that. So that will be a full course. Detailed course. She's asking for detailed course. I think that course can be helpful for her, which is going to be for about say 3 months kind of thing.
Yes. So, sir, I'll request you to give you a simple assignment in the WhatsApp group so that
Yeah,
you can practice.
that will
Or if you can share one, sir, practice sheet from the SPSS sample sheet in the WhatsApp group, then, sir, I think participant can practice at home.
yeah, that I will do. I will give you as assignment tonight.
Yes, sir. So, so for attendance is concerned, that we are monitoring, and that will be reflected in your certificate. I mean, those who are not participating or not attending, they will not get the certificate. That we are not going to take daily attendance as such. And so today, now we are going to end up the session here, and tomorrow sharp at 2, not tomorrow, all the days sharp at 2 will be starting, and we'll try to conclude by 4. And if you have any question, if any participant has any question, then you all are unmuted. You can ask. I am just giving you 1 minute time. If you have any query, any question regarding today's session, you can ask. You just unmute yourself and you can ask.
Sir, how can we have the recorded session
Yeah, that I have already told you. You will get those things.
in the WhatsApp group?
No, it will be available in the YouTube.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Any more question? No. No,
Yeah,
sir. Yes. Yes.
yeah, one question, sir. If I cannot attend the class, like because it is a office time, so like for 2 hours, maybe I cannot attend the class. So is there will be any thing like that some practice sheet will be given, then we need to give there at that same time? It won't be like that, right, sir? Because many times may happen that 2 hours maybe continuously I cannot sit, because definitely many of us will be in our respective official time and places. So will it be possible, sir? That is my question.
What you need practice sheet or what?
No, sir. Means practice it. I mean, if something practice for theory, like earlier we used to do under sir's guidance during my PhD courses. So he used to give us some practice it, so that we can give that we show that whether we understand or not, right?
Okay,
So,
that sir is going to share in the evening.
okay, so it will be a homework kind of thing. It
Yes, yes,
won't
right.
be during the
Yes,
session, right?
Yes,
That
yes.
I want to know. Yeah.
That sir has already told.
Okay.
Sir will share this.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah.
So you started with that screen that I haven't got because I got stuck at the license number. So how can I go about it?
Which one?
The SPSS session you started with that sheet where the rows and variables were there. But for that to begin, I am stuck at the license number. So how I should go about it? I've downloaded the software, and after that it was asking me license, and I'm not getting how to get access.
You have downloaded the free version, right?
Yeah.
And then there will be a mail to you which will give you a license
No,
number,
there is
key
no
number.
mail. There is no mail.
No, but mail verification was there. Otherwise, you cannot
Yeah,
download.
it was there.
Also.
Yeah. Mail
So while
verification.
downloading, you have to put your email ID. In your email ID, they will send you a code. You have to put that code.
Acha, that verification code.
Yes. You try it. You try it once again.
Yeah. Okay, that I can
You will
put.
get it.
Yeah.
You will get it.
But that will expire within half an hour, and I have done it long.
No. That will
No. That will be there for 30 days.
Okay, so same code I have to give to get start. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
So we'll conclude today here. So hope to see you tomorrow, sharp at 2 p.m.